Have you ever felt that huge pressure to do something about every single issue that's going on in the world? Whether it's a war that, like, here's a post saying, here are the 3 things you can do to help this cause, or say it's racism or climate change or sexism or any sort of physical or mental illness. It's like, here are the 5 things that you can do and have to be doing, and if you don't do them, you're a fascist, and here are the 27 companies that you have to boycott, and that's only for one issue. But then people say that about every issue, and you're like, oh my word, this is just so overwhelming. If you've ever felt that way, then join the club. I don't think you're the only one. But here are some of my thoughts on why we feel that way, and then also some of the things we can do to not feel that way, which does sound like another list, but I think this one frees you up a wee bit more. I'll let you be the judge of it at the end of the video. If you're new here, by the way, I'm Andrew. This is All Things Theology. I make videos kind of about living as a Christian and living faithfully in a world where it's hard to be a Christian sometimes. So if that's what you're into, then welcome. Now, anyway, in terms of why we feel this pressure to fix every issue and that we must be doing something about every single social issue that's going on in the world, I think the cause of that goes back to the beginning, really. Specifically, 2 chapters from the beginning, Genesis 3. Ever since that point, we as humans, I think, have either consciously or subconsciously wanted or felt the need to be God. This has been the human experience for as long as there's been a human experience, nearly, and I think that technology, and specifically like phones and social media, really exacerbates this issue of wanting to feel like God, because it gives us an illusion of being God. So whenever we think about the nature of God, God is many different things that we are not. First of all, God is omnipresent. That means that he's not contained by physical location, he's not restricted to a particular space, but we as humans are. However, technology and smartphones can make us feel like we are in some ways omnipresent, because I'm sitting here, but I could very easily just go to Google Street View and have a look at a random street in Canada, or see what's going on in Australia or Iran or like the North Pole. Pretty much anywhere in the world I can see it, I can watch videos about it, and so that gives an illusion that I can actually be there in some ways. So technology can make us feel like we are omnipresent. It can also make us feel like we are omniscient. That's God's attribute of kind of knowing everything, and the internet can make us feel like we know everything because so many answers are just at our fingertips. But then we're aware of so many different things that are happening across the world. If there's a famine on the other side of the planet, we hear about it. If there's an earthquake in a country we've never been to, we hear about it. And so that makes us feel in some ways that we are omniscient. Another one then is that God is omnipotent. That means he's all powerful. He's not restrained in any way in his power. He can do everything that power can do. Right, this one's deep, okay? You ready for it? So back whenever social media first became a thing, it was obviously adopted by the younger generations, and I was kind of on the cusp of that, and we were told by older generations that Bebo and Facebook are a waste of time, there's no good stuff on it, it's not useful in any way. We're like, oh no, it's good, we like it. And classic older generation to younger generation whenever there's new technology. But then we started to see examples of people harnessing it and doing a lot of good. People starting petitions or having these big movements where awareness was raised about a thing, or there's a lot of change brought to a particular thing because someone harnessed the power of social media. If you're old enough to remember Coney 2012, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, look it up. Yeah, that's all I'm saying about that. I didn't buy the thing. I nearly bought the thing, but I didn't have enough money at the time, so I'm really glad I didn't. If you know, you know. This was a new thing, this concept that we can just have a massive impact through online, and it made us feel like we could do something, that the power to change the world was in the palm of our hands. But then the more, I guess, we got told that, then the more that felt like an obligation and a duty that, okay, we have this powerful tool, we have to use it to change the world. And hence the illusion of omnipotence. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, one of the ways you can harness your power to change the world through sharing this video is by hitting it with a like. I appreciate that. Thank you. Now, the problem with all of this is obviously that even though this is an illusion, and even though we can have a little bit of potence or science, we're not God. And so whenever we try and act like we are, it burdens us and wears us down and does damage to us. So then, here is what we do about that. Here's how we correct this so that we don't feel this overwhelming pressure to change the world and then burn out, because it's really hard to change the world. First thing is to, I guess, recognize that we are limited as people. We're limited in terms of how much emotion we can feel, our emotional capacity, our mental capacity for understanding things, our energy and time and finances. Those are all limited, so we can't invest everything we've got into every single thing because it'll just run out. We'll run out. Recognizing that lifts such a huge burden off you that you just think, okay, I don't actually have to do everything I can for every one of these issues. The second thing we can do, and again, it's less of a doing, more of just an awareness shift, that we can recognize that God is able to do these things. God is currently working all things for the good of those who love him, who've been called according to his good purposes. He is currently renewing the world, and he will bring that to completion, and he is not limited. So what we can do is that we can pray and ask the unlimited God to work in the ways that we can't, and that's prayer 101. We overestimate what we can do, we underestimate what God can do, but whenever we turn to him in prayer and say, look, God, I need you to do this because I can't do it, we can't do it, then that's where so much breakthrough comes. And then the third thing we can do is that we can let ourselves be used by God. And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive to what I've just been saying, but sometimes you are the answer to someone else's prayer. You're not going to be the answer to everyone's prayer, okay? Whenever people are praying about this war and that war and all of these issues, you can't be the answer to every one of them. But the church, capital C, is God's body on earth. We are the way that he works on the earth. And so if people are praying that there are going to be more volunteers in church, you can do that. If there are various organizations who are praying and saying, God, we just need more money to make the impact that we can, then you have money. Find an organization you care about and give financially to them. Pick a few things that you care about. Again, it doesn't have to be everything. You can pick 1 or 2 or 3 issues that you're like, I really care about this. I'm going to dedicate myself and give of my time and energy and finances to this thing. All of the different issues, God has people sorting them out. And he does have a place for you in some area. It'll be different to the area that he wants me in, but find it and dedicate yourself to that, all with the realization and the knowledge that actually you're not God, and God is the one who's in control and he's the one working. I said a little bit ago about prayer and how much we underestimate what prayer does and we overestimate what our own busyness can accomplish. A while back I was shown a really surprising Bible verse about prayer and a surprising teaching, so I made a video about it. It's here, you can watch that. But thanks for being here. See you in the next video. God bless.